Hi guys, welcome back to I Speak English. My name's Haley, and in this lesson I'm going to be teaching you 5 phrasal verbs with the verb come. Okay, so phrasal verbs, they're pretty tricky. Most English learners hate them because they're really difficult to learn, but I'm going to make it quite easy for you today, and by the end of this lesson you'll know 5 different phrasal verbs with come. And to make it even easier for you, I have made a PDF list and a flashcard list of over 100 different phrasal verbs for B2 level and for C1 level. You can access that in the description. The link is there for you. It's completely free. All you have to do is click that link and you'll have access to the flashcards on Quizlet, which is also a free app to use where you can kind of play games and practice using the phrasal verbs that you learn in class today. So click that link in the description if you want to access that. And before we take a look at our phrasal verbs, do make sure that you are subscribed and you hit the bell so that you can learn lessons with me every week. I upload new videos or new lessons every Saturday, so if you do click the bell, you'll get a notification every week when I upload a new video. So click the subscribe button there and let's get started. Alright, so let's take a look at our 5 phrasal verbs then. So first of all, if you're not sure what a phrasal verb is, it's basically a verb with a preposition attached to it, and it has a completely different meaning to the original verb. It's very difficult to understand what the meaning is of these verbs because the preposition and the verb usually don't have a meaning, and often they don't have one kind of definition or one synonym in your language because they're unique to English. So they're often quite tricky for non-native speakers to learn, but they are an essential part of spoken English. So if you want to improve your speaking and also your comprehension, it's really important that you understand phrasal verbs because native speakers use them all the time. So we're going to take a look at 5 today. Let's take a look at verb number 1. Okay, so this is come up with. Alright, so come up with, again, the verb and the prepositions don't mean anything here. We're not thinking come, the up doesn't mean anything, with doesn't mean anything. Okay, so stop thinking literally because this verb and most phrasal verbs are not literal. If we take a look at an example in context, she came up with a brilliant idea for the project. Okay, what do you think come up with means here? To come up with an idea for the project. What can you do with an idea? Come up with means to think of. She thought of an idea. So we often use come up with ideas or plans as well. So instead of saying think of, you can use come up with instead, and you just sound a bit more natural, a bit more native. Alright, so on to phrasal verb number 2, which is come out. Okay, so come out, your example is the new book by my favourite author is coming out next month. Okay, so what do you think this means? It's coming out. If a book is coming out, we can also use this for a film as well. You can use it for an album. You can use it for anything that is being published or that's being released. Okay, so it's something new that is now accessible to the public. Okay, so my new book, the new book by my favorite author is coming out. It will be published next month. We always use coming out in this situation. We don't say be published. It sounds quite formal. Okay. Oh, that film I want to see is being published next week. Nobody says that. Okay, it's coming out next week. All right, be careful with coming out because it does have another meaning. When you saw this originally, you might know the other meaning because this meaning has been kind of introduced into other languages in English, and often other languages use the English word for this. So to come out means to publicly say that you're gay. And we use it in English as a verb. In a lot of other languages, often you you change it. I know that in Italian you'd say like fare il coming out, so you'd say like do the coming out, but that's not how we use it in English. We use it as a verb. Okay, so for example, when I came out to my mum, she was really supportive. Okay, so when I told my mum I was gay, she was really supportive. Alright, so just be aware that phrasal verbs often do have multiple meanings depending on context, okay? But let's see if you were paying attention. I'm going to give you a little test with those last two phrasal verbs that we learned. So I want you to complete this sentence with either come out or come up with. So person A says, this whole project is a mess. What are we going to do? And person B says, I don't know, but we need to something fast. Do you think it's come up with or come out? I'll give you 5 seconds. Write in the comments which you think is correct. You got 5 seconds, off you go. Alright, what do you reckon? Come up with or come out? It was come up with. We need to come up with something fast. We need to think of something, either a plan or an idea. Alright, so I am going to be giving you little tests like this throughout the video, so don't go anywhere. Stay here and I'm going to look at some more phrasal verbs and I'm going to test you as well. But before we take a look at our other phrasal verbs, I just want to let you know I do have a full video course all about phrasal verbs. So it's really interactive. There's tons of interactive games. You get flashcards, there's quizzes. So it's all about practicing phrasal verbs. You're going to learn tons of phrasal verbs, but it also gives you the opportunity to practice them, which is going to help you to remember them so that you can use them easier in a conversation. So I'll put a link to that in the description. I'll give you a little discount code there. Take a look. There's a few preview videos as well, so you can see how interactive the course actually is. So click that link in the description if you're interested. We're going to move on and take a look at our next phrasal verb, which is come across. So let's take a look at an example then. I came across my old uni t-shirt when I was tidying the other day. So what word do you think can go in the same place as come across? I came across my old uni t-shirt when I was tidying the other day. What do you think that means? You can write in the comments if you think you know the meaning of this. It means to find, but also to find by chance, just kind of randomly. So you weren't looking for the uni t-shirt, it appeared by chance, okay? Come across does have another meaning, just like the other phrasal verbs we looked at. It actually means to seem, okay? So we often use this for first impressions with someone. For example, he comes across as a bit arrogant, okay? He seems a bit arrogant, like at first impression. Seems a bit arrogant, comes across as arrogant. So again, if you do use seem in this context, it can sound quite formal to a native speaker. So try to use come across instead, and you'll sound a bit more fluent. All right, on to phrasal verb number 4 then, which is come up. Okay, so the topic of climate change came up during the meeting. Any ideas what come up means here? The topic came up during the meeting. So what does that mean? So again, ignore the meaning of come and up separately. Come doesn't mean anything. Up doesn't mean anything. Okay. Concentrate on the context. What word could you replace in this sentence? The topic of climate change was mentioned during the meeting. Okay, so we often use this for topics, questions, or just something that you say. Okay, so if something that you say comes up, it's mentioned. Sometimes we use this for if it's not expected or if it's a bit of a surprise that it appears in the conversation. Just like our other phrasal verbs, come up has another meaning as well, which is to kind of approach or get closer in time or when an event gets closer as well. For example, her final exams are coming up next month. Okay, so we're kind of approaching that time, or they're getting closer. Okay, so come up means to get closer. All right, time for another test then. Let's see if you were paying attention. Let's take a look at the sentence that you need to complete. So if I said to you, what are you reading? And you replied, this interesting article while I was scrolling on my phone. Look. What could you put in this gap here? Would it be come up or would it be come across? What do you reckon? Come up or come across? You've got 5 seconds. Write in the comments if you think you know the answer. Off you go. Okay, the answer was to come across. Okay, I came across this interesting article. I found this interesting article by chance. All right, and on to our final phrasal verb for today, which is come around. Okay, our example is she didn't like the idea at first, but she eventually came around. What do you think that means? She didn't like the idea at first, but she eventually came around. What word can you put in that gap there instead of come around? Write in the comments if you think you know what it means. It means to change your opinion. Okay, if you come around to something, you start changing your mind. You start kind of maybe agreeing with that thing. Okay, so she didn't like it at first, but then she came around. She changed her mind. Come around again has a second meaning. You can use it to mean that you visit someone's house. So I could say to you, for example, do you want to come round mine later? Okay, do you want to come to my house, to visit my house? All right, so there you go, 5 phrasal verbs with come. If you want to get more practice with these, please do leave a comment. Just write a few sentences with these phrasal verbs, and I'll correct you. If you need correcting, I'll let you know if you're using them right or wrong. Okay, so like we said before, it's really important to get practice, because otherwise it's difficult to remember these phrasal verbs if you're not actually using them. So write me a little comment and I'll correct you if you need it. And if you found this video useful, please do give it a little like. It just helps it to reach more people so that they can learn some phrasal verbs as well. And as usual, make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell so that you can carry on learning English with me every week. Right, that's all from me. I'll see you in another class soon. Bye.